What if I told you the reason you wear what you wear isn't about you? What if your wardrobe isn't showing your personality? What if it's showing every opinion you've ever believed about yourself? I think your wardrobe has a memory, not because clothes remember, but people do. Every opinion you've heard, every compliment you've received, every criticism you've carried, every room you've tried to fit into, every place you've called home leaves something behind. And years later, it quietly shows up in what you choose to wear. I don't think any of us wake up one morning and suddenly decide, this is my style. I think our style is built long before we realize we are building it, not in a shop, not on Pinterest, not on Instagram, in ordinary moments, the ones we barely remember, but somehow never forget. Think about the first time someone complimented what you were wearing. You probably don't even remember the outfit, but there's a good chance you remember how it made you feel seen, beautiful, smart, put together. Now think about the opposite. That one compliment, the one that made you suddenly become aware of your body or your skin or your eyes or how much space you took up. It's so funny that one sentence can quietly become part of your wardrobe for years. And that's when I started wondering who actually teaches us what looks good, because the more I thought about it, the more I realized, hmm, nobody teaches us all at once. Everyone teaches us a little. I mean, the family teaches you a little, school teaches you a little, your culture adds something, religion adds something, your friends add something. Then life starts adding its own opinions, and before you know it, your wardrobe has been built by dozens of voices, not one. This is where it gets interesting because none of those voices are necessarily wrong, they are just incomplete. Your mom might have dressed for practicality. Your older sister might have dressed to stand out. Your friends might have dressed to just to fit in. Your favorite creator dresses for the camera. Someone else dresses for the office. Another person dresses for comfort. Everyone is answering a different question. And without realizing it, we start borrowing answers before we even figured out what our own question is. Now, I've noticed something when people say, I just like this. I always wonder, do you? Or have you simply seen it so many times that it feels familiar? There's a difference. And our brains are funny like that. The things we see often starts feeling right. Not because they are, because they are familiar. That's one of the reasons trends work so well. Not because everyone suddenly develops the same taste, because repeated exposure has a quiet way of changing what feels normal. Think about your favorite color for a second. Do you know why it's your favorite? Or has it just been your answer for so long that you stopped questioning it? Now imagine applying that same question to your wardrobe. Why do I always wear black? Why do I avoid patterns? Why do I always feel overdressed? Why do I never wear dresses? Sometimes the answer has nothing to do with clothes and everything to do with a story. I remember talking to someone who said, I just don't feel confident enough to wear bright colors. And I thought, that's such an interesting sentence because confidence isn't a color. Somewhere along the way, those two things became connected, not because they belong together, but because an experience tied them together. Maybe someone said, maybe someone laughed, maybe someone complimented them more. Maybe they never got used to being noticed. You see what I mean? The clothes weren't the issue. The meaning was. The more I pay attention to people, the more I realize we are rarely dressing our bodies. We are dressing our beliefs. Some people believe looking polished earns respect. Some believe looking relaxed feels more honest. Some believe standing out is confidence. Others believe belonging is safety or blending in is safety. None of those beliefs appear overnight. They grow quietly, one experience at a time. And then something changes, life changes. You get older, you start working, you become a parent, you move to another city, you lose someone, you gain confidence, you outgrow things. But here's the strange part. Sometimes our wardrobe stays loyal to a version of us that no longer exists. And I think we've all done that. Kept dressing for a chapter that ended years ago. Not because we wanted to, but because we never noticed mood change. This is the part I find most beautiful. Your style doesn't need permission to go with you. You don't have to keep proving you are the same person you were at 20 or 25 or even last year. If your life has changed, it makes sense that your style, your clothes might change too. Not because you're chasing something new, because you're finally dressing the life you are actually living. Now, here's a question I don't think we ask enough. When you get dressed, who are you hoping understands you? Really, who? Is it your friends, your colleagues, your family, complete strangers? Or is it you? Because those answers lead to completely different wardrobes. You know what I've started believing? The goal isn't to remove every influence from your style. I don't even think that's possible. Influence isn't the enemy. Unquestioned influence is. There's a difference. One expands you, the other quietly replaces you. So maybe the next time you open your wardrobe, don't ask, what should I wear today? You're asking something small. Where did this choice come from? You might be surprised by the answer. Maybe it came from your childhood, maybe from your faith, maybe from your culture, maybe from someone you loved, maybe from someone who watched you, maybe from an algorithm, or maybe for the first time it came from you. And I think that's the quiet freedom people miss, not having more options, not buying better clothes, not keeping up with trends, just being able to tell the difference between a choice you've inherited and a choice you've made. Because once you can tell the difference, something changes. You stop getting dressed out of habit. You start getting dressed with awareness. And you see awareness as a funny way of making even the simplest outfit feel more like your own. Now, one last thought before we go. I don't think finding yourself is about becoming someone new. I think it's about meeting the version of yourself that's being underneath all the noise, that's been underneath all the opinions, the trends, the expectations, the fear, the praise, the pressure. Maybe your style was never something you had to go out to find. Maybe it was what's left when we gently peel away everything that was never really yours to begin with. And I think that's a much more interesting wardrobe to build. Now that we've unpacked all of that, I don't think the goal is to have a wardrobe with fewer influences. I think the goal is to have a wardrobe with more intention because influence will always be part of being human. But you see, awareness, that's where your freedom begins. So the next time you get dressed, don't just ask, does this look good? Rather, does this feel like a choice I've made or one I have simply carried? Now the feeling that you see that one question will change far more than your wardrobe. I hope you got the message. So I look forward to catching you in our next conversation. Bye.